all three are coming together now. Church, community, and that youth student movement. That was the body of the civil rights movement. There was a triad, and it worked together. And so, yeah, we can get Al here. We can get Jesse here. We can get some of the older boys here that need to be here. Those civil rights days. Don't you ever think they're not looking at this. But they're not going to step on the ground where they think, okay, there's already religious leaders in this town, and these guys haven't invited us, so we better not go out there and get in somebody else's church. There's that political thinking too, even of clergy leaders. So it has to take that kind of, as Dr. Tosh said, it's a momentum that's started in here, but the coalition can be built. Just one of them called all their other, as we should say for back political cronies of the movement, to say we need to be in Oakland.
And if I could just put a pin in that, one of the reasons why the coalition is so critical is because the issue of loss of control of the crowd is a major concern in major organizations that want to come together. And what we've seen thus far is that every time there's a protest, there's a loss of control of the crowd, or the appearance of a loss of control, more of an appearance of the loss of control. And the only way we can address that constructively is in advance to make certain that all of the groups that are participating come to the table among themselves, the leaders, and say, are we in agreement on this? When we say by any means necessary, what the heck does that mean? Yeah. Because the average person would say, make sure you have a peace. Okay? I mean, that's the name of your organization. When I talk about your organization, tried to get people here, even Reverend Buford, I said, Reverend Buford, I want you to come. Now, don't be deceived by the name, because it's kind of misleading. They are actually quite intellectual and methodical and strategic, and that's a real important piece, but their name doesn't speak to that. It's misleading. And we know Malcolm X, who authored this concept of by any means necessary, but we are fearful of that today. What you said is true, that people are living in the complacency of the Obama dream. Everybody wants to buy into the idea that this is a whole new day, we're in la-la land, and let's just not go back to the past. We've had our American Revolution, and it's better just to go forward, not look back. But there are those of us, particularly veterans among us, who see that the dirt is still there. And we're just really proud of the young folks who are finding their voice and finding the courage to speak truth to life, truth to power. And we want them to know that you don't have to start from scratch. You got the foundation of leadership supporting you that is experienced and knows how to help you navigate your agenda for your generation and the generation that follows you. We can't necessarily be in the vanguard exclusively on this because this is your generation, okay? But 40 years ago, I was 18, 19, 20. But we were not as successful as we were once we got the community leaders working with us. And then they brought all of the seasoned expertise. They brought all of the connections, the network, and then of course the press, the national press, the New York Times, Newsweek magazine. They all had credibility with these people. We had no credibility with those people. And so the link with the community elders is critical. But the community elders are not going to come out if the youth do not invite them and are prepared to be deferential. That means listen to us and trust that we have something to bring to the table. And work with us so that we make it clear to you that we're not trying to take over, but we do have some advice, some guidance to help you get where you want to go, because we all want to go to the same place.
In the spirit of that, I'm going to ask some of the young people to speak, because I think they've shown a lot of deference in listening to all of us, including me, as one of the older people. And I think it'd be really, really, I want to invite anybody to say anything that they want, in particular who are the new leaders and are the young people who are stepping forward. Because it took the Children's March to get in the New York Times. It's always taken the youth.
I'd like to say something. We've been talking a lot about, what's going on, Oscar Grant and the situation, but I think we also need to bring to realize, like, unfortunately, part of the thing that's been getting the airplay has been the protest in the form of violence, and unfortunately, that's been what's been getting attention. And I know we're throwing Malcolm out there and we're throwing Martin out there like that. But one thing we all have to realize the same thing is that when Martin and Malcolm were out here doing their things together, it was Malcolm who was pushing that radicalness that made people say, hey, Martin ain't too bad. You know what I mean? So I think we just can't go out and condemn the other side for being a little bit more militant or aggressive in a sense. And I'm not condoning any type of violence at all. But at the same time, it's a matter of just pushing these two groups, whatever they may be, and letting the people choose and say, hey, which option do you want? I mean, hey, you have two choices, because as you can see, the people are angry. The youth are angry. I, as a black man, am angry. You know what I mean? It's a matter of humiliation when you come out onto the streets. It does not feel good. You are humiliated to be handcuffed and to be put on to sit down. And that's a feeling that, many young people and the burden and weight that they're carrying with them every day on a daily basis. And it isn't just, it was Saul and Oscar Grant, January 1st, 2009. I mean, unfortunately, his life was lost.
Yeah.
But maybe we can turn that into something, so that this isn't going to be something that's perpetuating. And I feel like part of the thing is that this is something I feel is institutionalized from the top. Nobody's asking for the chief of police or the bar police to come down or step down. Right. He's telling the officers, like if you want to donate money to Officer Berkeley's case, please do so. I mean, to me, that's supporting the murderer.
Yeah.
And how are we going to sit there and let him? He's supposed to be protecting us. And this is the guy protecting us. I mean, who's going to protect us from him? And I feel like part of the things that we need is community control of our police department.
Can I ask this? I know we're going to have to wrap up in a little bit, but we've been hoping to have other things like this, other public meetings, public hearings like this. And I think if we could try to build a couple, give ourselves a little bit of time, and see if we could build a couple at a couple of the churches and community centers, other places, some of the schools. I really do think we could expand this a lot. Yes. And I think we ought to be trying to do that. Because to me, okay, there are a lot of people that have seen the videos or heard about this, but when you see it as a group, and when you go through it in more detail, and when you compare it to what is being said on the paper, it just gives it a whole different life. I don't know how to say it, just brings forward what the lies, right. It brings forward the necessity of us having to act and organize. And I think if we can keep doing that, it'll be a real step forward.
Excuse me, we need to go. It's not we support, we're available. Great, and Yvette has our name. Great, okay.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Howard to the people.
I want to echo what you said about young people speaking.